Welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. I need to make a quick note up front. My mom occasionally watches these vlogs. Hi, Mom. The teal box behind me on my cubby. That's full of receipt books and other paperwork. I need to go through that before I can move it. If I move it now, I will lose track of it. I don't want to lose track of the paperwork before I go through it. So it will be leaving the cubby. Thank you for noticing. And I will be getting to that. My mom occasionally watches my vlogs, and it makes me very happy that we have this extra point of contact. She does make comments about the organization in my office. It'll get better. It will get better. It's amazing that after me being in here more or less on my own with occasional help from my son over the past 15 months, that this office is still standing and hasn't caught on fire much. Last week, I said I'd talk a little bit about maybe a victory system campaign that I might think up, and I'm rethinking that. I am rethinking that because, one, my dance card is a little full right now. I have a couple of D&D campaigns that I'm running, one for the Warriors of Wednesday and one for a few friends on the weekends. That one hasn't been meeting as often, but I'm still running it. I'm playing in one that has had hard times meeting on Monday. It's the summer and people's schedules are nightmarish. So that will be a thing, but it still does occupy time and attention. And aside from aside from those things, which I am currently engaged in gaming wise, I am still studying Unreal and trying to write material for a number of different projects, and doing artwork. I designed this in Blender yesterday. It took a few minutes to design this. It's a form for a crystal I'm going to be using for a piece of costuming. And then Andrew printed this for me. And I'm getting used to the concept that I can make a form in my computer that in a few hours I can hold in my hand and potentially shank someone with. That is really, really sharp. But I think it's going to end up as a nice piece. It needs to get reprinted. There might have been an issue with the supports and not all the faces came out the way we want them to, but I'm pretty happy with the progress so far. Again, being able to hold something in my hand that was a picture on my computer out of my head a couple of hours before, that's kind of impressive. So taking on the design of another campaign, especially when I've got the current Warriors of Wednesday D&D game, which is going very well. I'm super happy with it. It runs about 2.5, 3 hours every week, a little bit more when we can swing it. But that is very dense time. There's a lot going on. There are a lot of events and a lot of NPCs to manage. The world is practically new. Details have to be generated out of my head as we go, and it's very rewarding, but in equal amounts, it's also demanding, which is fine. That's what I like. Coming up with another campaign right now, which I could certainly do. I could sit here and spitball another game. I need to find the time to run it. I need to find players. I need to find a venue, even though that venue's online. And I've got people who have said that they would like to play a game with me. Some of them are my patrons. Some of them are probably watching. Hi, guys. And I would like to get back to a game with you. At the moment, I am packed. Not the least of this being I would like to get back to producing game material. And I do in bits and pieces, but I have not gotten anything done that I consider sellable, that I can put up for sale. I haven't finished a gaming product in some time. I have a series I'm doing in the Victory system, the Victory Shopping Network. Uh, that was going to be a monthly thing for me, and it's not happening the way I would like it to. One, I'm packed. Two, I'm basically going to address my problems of productivity here. I may have mentioned these before. And I'm going to revisit them from time to time until such time as they either get fixed or I just get tired of talking about them. But it's important for me to make these notes and to share them. Uh, I make these notes so that I keep track of what's happening in my head. Keeping track of what's happening in my head is important to me. And I lose track. This constitutes a record of what I have noticed and what I am noting. Also, there are people who watch my videos who have no problems commenting to me if they have knowledge of issues like the ones I'm experiencing, have gone through them themselves, or know someone who has, or have experience with getting past issues like this. In other words, if you know of a way that I can get past the problems I'm currently having with productivity, please leave me a comment. Please leave me a comment. My ideas snowball far too quickly. I can come up with a very small idea. The Victory Shopping Network is an example. There are things to come up with a gadget, a gizmo, a piece of equipment, a something that I can come up with a set of stats for and then describe in a humorous fashion as though it were on a shopping network program. Um, and I like the characters that got involved and I like the format that I've got down. And it's not difficult. They're not big products, but coming up with the ideas, I either find an asset online that sparks something that I can provide stats for, or I was thinking as I am, working with Blender and producing items on my own, maybe I could come up with a prop or two that I could then give stats to and do this. And this is a very simple shape. This was not difficult to do. This is basically a tortured cylinder. Um, Coming up with something that is representative of something I would like to provide to player characters in a role playing game, different. That is very difficult in my head. And it's not something that I can't do. It's something I can't do to the level that I am comfortable with, and I just need to practice a little bit. So I need to practice Blender. I need to learn a little more Blender. I need to watch some tutorials. I need to understand tutorials. I need to find the tutorials. I need to go through the list of several thousand of them I pulled up from YouTube, or some of the 4 or 5 that I have selected as classes on Skillshare once I'm done with the tutorials for the Unreal Engine, because I really need to learn that, because if I can do that and use that as a presentation method and not just a method for designing engines, and now I'm down the halfway down the mountain in a much bigger ball of ideas than I started with. Snowballing. Um, and that happens not over the course of a day, not over the course of a few hours. I have gone from I'd like to try to do something to this is too big and it's hopeless in about a minute and a half. Caffeine does let me think a little bit faster, but it does nothing for the quality of those thoughts, nor their direction or productivity. So there's that. Then there's just that initial motivation. There is so much to do. My dance card is full. And I can do things very quickly that give me the endorphins rush of having succeeded at something. And I've become a little bit of a junkie to the fast fix of endorphins. This vlog, doing this vlog, is a habit of mine. It's a good habit that I've developed. It's something I sit down and I create and produce for a little while on my Monday morning or over my weekend, depending on how my Monday is going to go. I have a couple of art jobs that I do every week, every other week, that are also good habits. I just don't miss those. And aside from that, developing the habits to do other things, to produce or provide or learn or generate, has proven very difficult. My brain's not entirely intact anymore, and I'm well aware of that. I suffered neurological damage from the radiation and the chemo and the tremendous amounts of fentanyl that got me through my cancer treatments. And it is apparent to me the more I try and do more with my brain, trying to get back to what I was doing in 2013, 2014, getting to that speed and that level. And it's almost a decade later, isn't it? So here I am. And just talking through some of these things, just getting them out helps. I need to schedule, I need to plan, I need to set aside time for doing things the way I set aside time for doing the things that are good habits. And I want to run a fantasy campaign in Victory. I have run a lot of Near Modern, I run a little space, and Near Modern seems to be the what people want material for. Doing their cyberpunk-esque or Shadowrun-esque games where there's magic and technology combined in an urban fantasy setting. And I kind of like that. And I want to write for that setting, but I want to do a couple of fantasy adventures. I'd like to build up a lore of a fantasy world in Victory that I can then bring forward into a Near Modern, even a space campaign. I want to have those characters that create spells and have their own forms of immortality and the stories that people in later games can study the legends of or be inspired by from those old fantasy times that were either in some parallel world or might actually have been a mysterious past before the known knowledge of civilization. Which leads to a bigger campaign idea of running a campaign through all three eras where you start off in the fantasy world and those characters gain either, they gain their fame, their notoriety, and they get to a certain level of power, and then they either become immortal or somehow transported forward to a world where their old actions are history and legend, and now they need to make a new legend in a world that they have just shown up in and are not equipped to handle. And when they've got that down and you get to a certain level of ability there, it's like, well, we showed up as sword sling and magic using people from a fantasy world, and now we're edge runners in a near future dystopian wasteland. And then aliens show up and they have to go off world to save the world from the alien invaders. And now it's a space campaign and they have to readjust all over again and learn how to adapt in a high tech spacefaring civilization that is hostile to them, and see and what happens when they conquer that, and see where those players want to take it from there. It's like, okay, you have saved the world. There's a million more worlds out there that are just as embattled. You can go home or you can not. What do you want to do? Can you imagine? Can you imagine a campaign that has that span and where the characters are just always gaining ability and never being quite comfortable with them? I might be projecting a little bit. I know I said my dance card was full. If you'd be interested in a campaign like that, just let me know. Not that I'm going to run it. But if you'd be interested in being in a campaign like that, or even doing design work for a campaign like that, if you like to be involved in something like that, that's the kind of campaign that Victory works really well for, because the same mechanics and the same rules apply through all the different eras of play, and those characters just transport across. Um, there's no translation or conversion that has to be done. That fantasy character shows up on a spaceship, and well, you might not know what's going on, but the same rolls you used to make, you can make here. You might not know how to fly the spaceship, but you know how to punch a mofo. See what happens. Thank you. Thank you for following me along. Thank you for being here while I'm trying to work through the stuff in my own head. And thank you for your comments. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. This one was a little bit personal. I understand that. If you'd like to be involved in a campaign like that, or have knowledge of how you would get past some of these creative difficulties, if you've dealt with the snowball conundrum, or have ideas about organizing, leave me a comment below. Things you'd like to hear me talk about, subjects you'd like to hear me cover, leave me a comment below. I will love getting your comment. You will love leaving me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. Go ahead and tag the subscribe button. If you do, you might also want to hit the notification bell so you're alerted when my videos become available. If you'd like to help the channel and me in a more personal manner, I invite you to hit me on my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum. Consider donating. Absolutely anything helps. Allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is what has mattered to me, and I'll see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum.